on a serious note here, Jessica Doty Whitaker shot and killed after an All Lives Matter argument, says the family. So yes, this young mother was this was July 5th, following a 4th of July party. The early morning of July 5th, following an argument over the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, this is according to her family statement. Jessica Doty Whitaker, 24 years old, with her Jose Ramirez. That's her fiance. So the two, there was two other people near the downtown canal. This is in Indianapolis, Indiana. Early hours, Sunday, July 5th, when their group entered into a dispute with another group over the use of a racial slur. Somebody must have said something that sparked some tension over there. Now, the dispute was eventually settled. This is coming from the boyfriend, the Ramirez. But minutes later, it turned fatal when someone from the other group fired shots, hitting Doty Whitaker, and shot her in the head. So Ramirez, he said, I was actually holding her when it happened. She just fell. I turned around. I opened fire too. He was packing also. But that's just a reaction. I didn't see nobody. He said he doesn't believe he hit anyone when he fired back. Now, she leaves behind a three-year-old son. Again, she was 24. She was a home health nurse who was looking forward to returning to school in August. And Ramirez said they were going to marry within a year. Now, Ramirez did tell one local news outlets over there that they were walking near the canal when someone in his group used the N-word. Okay, this is bringing it back now, okay? And this was during a conversation, as if the N-word was, what am I supposed to say here? Not an offense term, just...
They were just talking.
Right.
Conversation.
Right. All right. So, but nonetheless, according to the story, someone said that there was another group nearby that yelled Black Lives Matter, to which someone in Ramirez's group said All Lives Matter. Okay, was the volley. So you had a volley of these words being said. And then the boyfriend couldn't confirm if she said it or somebody else in the group said it, but it seemed like it was other family members in that group. But Ramirez said that the dispute ended right then and there when both groups realized that they were packing. All right, so it got a little out of hand, and then I guess they're hey, I'm packing, and so okay. He even said that they bumped fists and walked away from each other. The two groups now left. But that's when he said, a short minute later, that someone from the other group opened fire on them from a bridge and then fled the scene. Yeah, so unreal. Now, they also, the father is speaking out because he's trying to get, they're on the, if you know anything, Crime Stoppers, there's nobody arrested. The girl's dead. We only got one side of the story. I love hearing both sides of the story. You can't hear it if you got information. But the father is saying he's trying to reach out to these media outlets, and they're refusing to contact him or push this story. All right, before we get into it all, okay, Pastor Chris. Okay, there's an argument. Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. It's getting heated out there. No, I'm sorry, it's heated out there. Your advice?
Well, you simply said this. You want to hear both sides of the story. The wisest person who ever lived, Solomon, in Proverbs 18:17 says, every story sounds straight until you hear the other side. So I think you need to hear both sides, and I totally agree with you. I believe that the Bible teaches that we're all made in the image of God.
Okay.
And I think that is very important. And I do believe that Black Lives Matter. I believe also that all lives matter. I believe that blue lives matter. I believe that if you're a human, it knows no matter what race you are, that you are made in the image of God and that we're called to love one another.
Cynthia, you hear the story. What questions or what emotions are going right through your head immediately?
Oh,
Here, get close to that mic too.
So I don't keep up with news very much. I just don't do it because it makes me very sad.
Yeah.
Stay positive. So I'm just here to listen. And I really like what you had to say about having to hear both sides.
Yeah.
Especially if you only know one side.
Right. Now, staying away from news, how difficult is that? Especially with social media.
So I get bits and pieces. I've heard of this story. I hear of stories,
Uh-huh.
but I don't dive deep into it because sometimes it's one-sided.
Right.
And for me, I just don't have the time in my day to try to dive into both sides.
Yeah. See, that's why I love having
I'm
time.
so glad I'm here. This is awesome.
Yo,
I'm like,
absolutely.
y'all are teaching me things.
We're
Like,
diving in.
Yeah, this is great.
All right. Other side. Bay, here we go. Bay, what do you make of this?
It was just two groups,
Uh-huh.
and somebody just overheard the other group conversation, and it goes because I know Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, they
Uh-huh.
use their N words.
Right.
Some of my people use their N word
Right.
in conversation.
Yeah.
And that's probably what happened. Because hey,
Do you think it was over All Lives Matter, or do you think it was just
it's just when that got brought up,
Uh-huh.
and then she said, Black Lives Matter, no, all lives matter.
Why don't you think media is picking up the phone for this father?
Because they don't want to. Oh.
Say it. Say it. Don't hold back, Bay.
No, they just don't want to show what they're not showing in the main media.
Do you think they're scared to show
Yes.
if this was because maybe it could be maybe the media's holding back, just waiting, but it also, I hear what you're saying, it could also be, well, if you attack Black Lives Matter, guess what? You're next on the cancel culture list.
You're a racist.
Right. Right, interesting.
And I don't think it follows along with their narrative. I was reading today of, I believe it was a New York Times person who was on their op-ed. His name was Barry, I believe, that just resigned because, again, he was trying to just report the news and this and that, and they were screening everything so that it fit their narrative.
Right.
And I think that's a dangerous place that we're all in, whichever side of the political spectrum that you are on.
It's like what Cynthia said, you don't know what to believe
Well,
anymore.
Exactly right.
But like I said, can't scream out Black Lives Matter and take a Black Lives. You can't do that.
Yeah, you know what? Interesting.
You can't do that.
Interesting. Doug, okay. Military, how many years?
33 years.
33 years. Damn. A lot of cohesion in that 33 years.
A lot.
Okay.
Okay.
You're in that situation. You're there. What leadership skills would you have applied? I know it's Monday morning quarterbacking and everything, but yeah, bring us there. What do you bring to the table?
Well, for the last 2 decades, I've been in the counterterrorism world.
Okay.
And so the number one way to avoid a situation is avoidance.
Okay.
Just avoid yourself in a situation. Recognize that right now racial bias is at the forefront of what is everybody's mind. There's going to be cultural bias everywhere. You walk into a room and you size somebody up. You look at them, you judge them. There's bias consistently out there. Bias can be spun in a positive way for competition. Two teams against each other, you are
That's
going
right.
to be biased.
That's right.
But when you throw in a little bit of hate that's spooled up, then that bias gets accelerated. And it could be the point where this may or may not have been a racial bias situation, but it's being reported as that because it's now juicy information to put it out there because it's headline news. If something happens, especially tragic like this, and it could be spun into that category, it's going to make the news. Now all of a sudden that tabloid or that reporter is now frontline and they are king of the journalism world for a day or two.
Clickbait.
Yep.
Right.
And so bias, I think we need to teach ourselves in society. And coming out of the military, as you well know, bias comes in. You have all different types of cultures in the military.
So many.
So many. In fact, it's actually kind of fun.
Yes.
I grew up all over the place. My dad was Air Force.
Right.
But you could tell from when you're from New York. You could tell when I'm from Missouri.
I've been working on my yawls, though. I have been.
It needs more work.
On Monday.
But that type of playful bias is actually kind of team building.
That's right.
In some cases, but
Cohesion, where I come from, we bust each other's chops and balls. That's cohesion where I come from.
absolutely cohesion, team, all that stuff. But it's just when people get put in their head that bias is a bad thing, and all of a sudden you throw a little bit of hate in there, it gets out of control. So I think we need to, from a society, from our kids to those that are experienced, like our police officers, they need to have that bias training to get into a situation. Like car accidents, they're probably the first ones to the scene.
Right.
There's tensions. I know if I got in an accident, I'm not going to be all nice and cool and really nice about it, especially if I was rear-ended.
Yeah.
So that police officer would, that type of training really could de-escalate a lot of this to say, okay, I am now no longer an officer of the law. I'm here as a public servant to provide a service. Make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
Hey, everything's okay. Let's solve really who did what. Let's just make sure you're all right. It's that type of awareness. And I think we have to remind ourselves daily. In the military, you wake up knowing that there's bias there, and it ramps up and down based on the time. So I think we have to remind ourselves that racial bias is bad, but bias in general is going to happen. It's human nature.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, long story for a short question.
I love it, though. I love it. As for my thoughts on it all, again, I think I've mentioned this so many times on the show. The organizations that are connected to Black Lives Matter, and again, so many things point to not even caring about Black Lives. Bay mentioned it earlier about the black-on-black crime and everything, and how some of these Black Lives Matter groups are chanting death to Israel. What does that have to do with the movement? Okay, man, just remember, 4th of July. You just got done with fireworks or whatever in Indianapolis. All right, things get out of hand. Just take a step back, take a breath, put your pride on the side. Pride's a sin, by the way. Don't forget about that, all right? I learned that about a year ago. For all these years, I was very prideful. I didn't know that. But hey, just take it easy, all right? Media, don't be so scared either, okay? Don't be so scared. All right, good. That one's out of the way. Oh, intern Shane, anything? Okay. What do you think?
Honestly, I kind of have to go with the same thing as what Bay said.
Uh-huh.
Because it's...
You know what? That's the right move. When in doubt, bay it out. Absolutely. Damn right.
So we keep score here?
Yes.
Okay.
Bay.
So, Bay.
2 for Bay. 2 for Pastor
Yeah.
Chris. Tell you what, Doug, you got my vote. 2 for Doug. All right.
Okay.
All right. Touche. No, I changed my vote to Shane.
That's okay.
Where's my vote?
So Bay got 2.5 now. Nice job. All right. Let's move forward.